What's going on, Cougs? Today we're back with another classic episode of Coug on the Clock, back at the desk. I'm your host, Dylan Gravelle, and I'm here with...
Preston Collins.
James Wolf.
Alexi Luibil.
Today we got a special March Madness episode for you. We're going to go through the bracket, our picks, our Cinderellas, our champions, everything with that. Let's get into it. So we're going to start with the East Division with the Wazzu Cougs.
Obviously, we're Cougs, so we got to start with them.
Personally, I got Wazzu getting bounced first round.
Terrible, terrible.
Hey.
Terrible.
Champagne,
terrible fans, terrible
Poppy,
students.
they're taking us down. Drake's beating us.
Champagne Poppy, 6 God.
Yeah.
Nah, I got Wazzu. I think we have enough good young guys that are ready for this occasion. You know, we have been kind of sucking in the last half of the season, but especially in the Pac-12 tournament, you know, shout out. But I have faith in this game. In the next round, of course, you know, I have Iowa State playing us. Don't think we're going to win, but I'm going to root for the Cougs, of course.
I got Drake because they're coming off like a 6-win streak, and the Cougs, kind of got knocked out in the Pac-12 tournament. Drake's hot, we're not, so I'm going Drake.
Yeah, and I think speaking of not being hot, Miles Rice is 0 of 22 from 3 in the last 7 games. And he's kind of the engine that runs our offense, and when the engine's not working, the car doesn't run. So,
But we have Jalen Wells to make up for it.
We do.
But he's been
What do you
breaking
think,
too
Alexi?
lately, though. I'm not gonna lie.
I think we're beating Drake.
You guys
I mean,
You got faith in the Cougs. I like it.
we
Yeah,
still haven't
dude.
lost 2 straight. We gotta make up for the last loss, anyways. So
Yeah.
But the
And-
East, go ahead.
I mean, with the Cougs, like we've shown, we beat Arizona twice. We can beat anybody.
We definitely
if we
can.
can shoot.
Fair.
Yeah.
So
If we play our game.
as
we
long as we get a good game and we're not missing every 3, like I think we could even beat Iowa State.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I think especially in March, if you can get hot, and we definitely have shooters that can get hot. If they do, you know, you can hang with anybody, beat anybody.
Yeah.
But the rest of that East, you got the number 1 team, UConn, which I think everybody's kind of expecting them to kind of just roll through it.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah,
so far
I mean,
over everyone.
I got
every
them
team,
going to
think.
Sweet 16. And then
Sweet
losing to
16.
Auburn.
Yeah.
I also have that. I've been riding on Auburn for the last month. Johnny Broom and them boys.
Johnny Broom.
But also in that, you got, like we said, Iowa State, Illinois, Auburn, the 4 seed, San Diego State, who's a tough team. That's really just a loaded bracket. But so we both got Auburn coming out of it. What about you?
I either got Duke or Iowa State.
Duke or Iowa?
Duke's
not
on
in
the
that.
South, man.
Duke's not in that bracket.
Oh, and East? Oh, yeah, I got Iowa State.
Yeah, Iowa State coming out of there. What about you?
I
I
got
have-
Auburn too, actually.
You got Auburn?
I have Auburn or Illinois, but
Dang.
Auburn.
Auburn seems like
Auburn,
a
Illinois is
common,
my Elite
common
Eight.
pick.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have taken it.
Yeah, it's okay.
I think that's going to be a good one, too.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so we want to head down to the West.
Oh, yeah.
Alrighty, so in the West, you got UNC, Arizona, Baylor, Bama, St. Mary's. I think this is honestly like probably the weakest division out of the 4. I mean, I think UNC barely snuck in as a 1 seed. I would have given it to Iowa State after what they did to Houston in the Big 12 championship.
Fair.
Arizona, they didn't even make it to the Pac-12 championship. They have bad losses all year. Baylor's not looking great. Bama's really, they make a lot of mistakes, but really the whole SEC does.
Yeah.
And Michigan State's in there, and Michigan State should not really be in the tournament,
Yeah.
to be honest. But
Yeah.
They were definitely on that.
But I
bowl,
feel like
which-
they could low-key do something. Tom Izzo, he always cooks up in March Madness.
Yeah.
what about Thomas or Jr. or whatever?
Yeah.
Get him
I feel
out
like they
there.
could cook up. So
But yeah, for me, actually coming out of the West, I got St. Mary's, the Gales.
Really?
I think they play at such a slow pace that it makes teams uncomfortable. They play super tough defense, and they make you hit tough shots. And on the other side, Ada Mahaney, Drykus or Dukas or whatever his last name is.
Yeah, he's
West Coast
valid.
Conference Player of the Year.
Yeah.
They got dudes offensively, and they're one of the probably top 3 defensive teams in the country. So I got them coming out of the West.
Fair, fair. I have Baylor coming out. I think they just have the easiest path of teams, you know. I think New Mexico is going to beat Clemson, so then they're just playing New Mexico, and then they have Dayton, because I do not think Arizona is making it past the second round.
That's not a bad pick, honestly. But
I have them beating UNC in the final.
I have them losing to UNC in the final. I've actually got. You have St. Mary's. I've got St. Mary's getting bounced by Charleston.
First, or in the second round?
Second round. I got them being a 13 seed in the Sweet 16.
So you got Charleston over Bama.
Yeah.
In the first round. All right. Hey, see what Charleston
That's
can do.
that's my biggest upset.
Cinderella.
But I've got 2 other low seeds. I've got Nevada beating Dayton actually, and I've got New Mexico beating Clemson.
What about you? Who you got coming out of the
I
West?
got Baylor too. I feel like,
Baylor?
I mean, ever since they beat Gonzaga in the Final Four, or in the national title actually,
3 years ago. They've been on a run for 3
they
years.
low-key have. Their coach always cooks up. He does though. So I feel like they could come out too.
Alrighty. So over to the Midwest, you got Purdue, which is well known that they are frauds.
Very known.
Tennessee and Dalton Connect. Creighton, who I think is going to be a really tough team. Kansas, who I got getting bounced first round. I don't know what you guys think about that. It was just announced McCullers not going to play in March. Dickinson has a dislocated shoulder.
Yeah.
They just lost by 20 to Cincinnati. So what do you guys think about that Midwest division?
The Midwest division is very interesting. For an upset, I know it's going to upset you. I got McNeese beating Gonzaga. Gonzaga's also known frauds, just like Purdue. So,
It's not.
you know, I think it's my best Cinderella pick to
McNeese?
actually happen. Yeah.
I think with GU, they're either going to lose first round to McNeese or go to the Final Four.
Fair.
I don't think there's really anything in between. I think really like McNeese is probably their toughest game. I mean, they played Purdue in Maui in the beginning of the season. They were up at halftime, then shot 0 of 17 from 3 in the second half and lost. They really just gave that game to Purdue. They'll run into them at some point if they beat McNeese. And then in the bottom, you got Kansas,
Oregon.
who's not great. Oregon, who can
Came off a Pac-12
I
victory.
think Creighton will be a tough game for them if they do get there.
Creighton is going to
I think I have them beating South Carolina
Creighton?
or Oregon.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Arizona.
I got that one too.
Yeah, I think they could.
Oregon got blown out in the semifinal by Auburn.
Oregon?
No, South Carolina. My
Oh,
bad.
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I feel like Oregon definitely has the upper hand in that
Yeah, I
one.
got Oregon. That's a 6 over 11. What about you? What do you got in the Midwest?
I think the top half of the Midwest is a lot weaker. I do have Gonzaga beating McNeese, and I have Kansas beating Gonzaga.
Okay.
I've got Kansas in the Elite Eight, but losing to Creighton. Only real upset, I've got Oregon over South Carolina, but nothing too crazy coming out of that one.
I think something too that could happen there is I got Colorado State or Virginia, either one over Texas. And then I think if it's Virginia, they can slow down Dalton Connect
Yeah.
when they play Tennessee. And that's the thing with Tennessee is Dalton Connect either has 30 or 40 or they really struggle to win. And they've proven that throughout the season. In their last game, I think it was they played Kentucky, I want to say, in the SEC tournament. And he had 17 points and they lost by like 15. So
Yeah.
I think Tennessee might be an early upset.
I
in
could
that
see
Midwest
that. I could
division.
see them even losing to St. Peter's, especially after the run they had.
Yeah, I have them going out.
A lot of people are liking St. Peter's. I've seen a couple people put that upset.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's a joke or not for some people, but
I think that's probably a little bit of a recency bias with what they did in the last tournament with Doug, what's his face?
Eater, yeah.
Yeah.
Legend though. Yeah.
But yeah, so who you got coming out of the Midwest?
I have Texas beating Gonzaga, but kind of just a hot take. But I have them beating Tennessee in the round of 32 and then beating Creighton. But then I also have Gonzaga beating McNeese and beating Kansas and then beating Purdue. So it's like kind
So
of
you got
just,
Texas out of the Midwest.
Yeah.
I got Gonzaga.
I have Tennessee.
I got Creighton.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
So up in the South Division, you got Houston, Marquette, Kentucky, Duke. I think this is one of those divisions that really could go either way. Houston's kind of concerning after what Iowa State did to them in the Big 12 championship.
yeah, that was crazy. Yeah.
Marquette, I don't really know.
James
what's
Madison,
gonna
I feel
happen
like.
with them.
Marquette has I forgot his name. It's like Jacob something. They have this senior guard, and he's like injured right now, but he was just been balling for them this whole entire season. So if he comes back, in time,
Yeah.
could be scary, especially for like teams like Florida that are definitely going to beat Colorado or Boise State. So
Yeah, and
trying to
I
make
think,
a run.
I think the same thing with the 10-7 in the Midwest. I got either Boise State or Colorado over
Over
Me too.
Florida?
I
So do I.
have
Wow.
that too.
I think
Yeah.
So do I.
either one of them with either Dagenhart at Boise State or Eddie Lampkin at Colorado. I think either of them are going to be able to beat Florida.
Kind of like Florida's team, so I'm just going to give them the benefit of the
Like 'em?
doubt.
Okay.
valid.
What else? I got NC State over Texas Tech.
Me too.
DJ Burns. He's
NC State, that's
the
Cinderella
dog.
right there,
That is.
potential right there.
But shout out to JD, James Madison. I got them going to the Elite Eight. That's my like
Yes,
Cinderella
sir.
for the year, that 12 seed.
Shout out Xavier Brown. He had 21 in the championship.
Yeah, shout out JD. But yeah, I got them over Wisconsin, then over Duke, and then losing to Houston in the Elite Eight.
I also have them over Duke. I just have Texas A&M beating them because the Aggies are
I feel like
on
Houston's
fire.
going to fall early, so I'm with you on that.
The
Houston
Aggies
could
are
go
on
out.
fire. If you watch any of the SEC tournament games, on fire.
And that's what I think. That's what makes it so interesting about this team is like, or this conference or bracket, whatever you want to call it. You got teams like Houston that have been on fire all year, struggled in their conference tournament. Then you got teams like Texas A&M that were kind of shoddy throughout the year, but were on fire in the tournament. So you got teams that are hot right now, or teams that they've proven throughout the season that they can do it.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be an interesting division. But so who you guys got coming out of the South?
I have Duke, but
Duke coming out?
Wow.
I do. Sleeper.
I think Houston's going to pull it together, and I think they're going to come out.
Fair. I actually have, and I was gassing Texas A&M, but I have Kentucky coming out.
I've also got Kentucky. I've got them beating Houston.
Okay.
In
Yeah,
the
I
Elite
think,
Eight.
I think the thing with
Kentucky's
Kentucky
a good
is
pick.
like
They're just so
you
star-studded.
never know what you're going to get from Kentucky.
Yeah.
I've
Sometimes
also-
their freshmen play like they've been there for 5 years, and sometimes they play like freshmen. With Dillingham, Reed Shepard. And I think it's really similar with Duke, with Jared McCain and those boys.
Yeah.
You just
I feel like if they
never
can get
really know
hot-
what they're going to get.
Yeah.
I've also given Kentucky a pretty easy road because I got them playing NC State, then I got them playing Boise or Colorado.
Gotcha.
I've got
Fair.
Boise or Colorado beating Marquette
Yeah.
in the round of 32. So
Okay. So
they get up to Houston, and that's their first single-digit seed that they play
Yeah.
for me.
So I think we're down to like the Final Four, right? So
Yep.
me personally, I got who was it? Auburn out of the East. I got who was it? I got St. Mary's out of the West, Houston out of the South, and GU out of the Midwest for my Final Four. What do you
Wow.
I got Iowa State out of the East, North Carolina out of the West, Duke out of the South, and Texas out of the Midwest.
All right, what you got?
I have Auburn out of the East, and then I have Baylor out of the West, Kentucky out of the South, and Tennessee out of the Midwest.
I've got Auburn out of the East, North Carolina out of the West, Kentucky out of the South, and Creighton out of the Midwest.
Alrighty, I like that. So
Creighton.
I think all that's left is to give our champions. We'll go down the line. Who you got?
I got Duke. I got to make a new bracket. These guys got some.
So you got Duke over Iowa State.
I do. 148 is going to be scored.
I got Auburn over GU.
It's going to happen. Watch.
Like I said, I think GU's either getting bounced first round or they're going to make a run for it. But I got Auburn over GU.
I have Auburn over Kentucky. I think they're going to just dominate mostly, but
I've got Kentucky over Auburn.
Wow.
So
Alrighty, you two got really similar brackets. over
yeah.
there.
Yeah, for real.
But I think that does it, right?
Yeah.
Pretty good. Anything else you guys want to add?
Johnny Broom. Watch.
Johnny
just
Broom.
watch.
Johnny Broom.
Just wait and watch.
Johnny Broom and them boys. But I think that does it for us. You can check this out on Cable 8 and more episodes just like this. Make sure to follow us on our socials at Wazzu Sports Net, I believe is all of them, right? On the
Yeah.
Sports
TikTok,
Network.
Cable 8.
TikTok, Instagram.
Yeah.
Cable 8 on YouTube. That's where
Alright,
you're watching
well,
this.
I think that'll do it for us.
hopefully.